영국에서 우리 그냥 탭워터 마시는데 한국에서 안 해요. Friends were like, oh my god, he knows that. Like everybody kind of knows that. So when they come to Korea, they're like, oh, we have to remove our shoes, but it's not natural for them. 안녕하세요. 저는 영국에서 온 에밀리라고 합니다. 저는 1년 반 전에 온 것 같아요. 네. 저는 사실 그 폭증 살고 있어요. 혼자. 그리고 폭증 읽을 수 없거든요. 그래서 좀 신기한데 근데 좋아요. 제 아버지만 엄마랑 그냥 Airbnb만 있었는데 그래서 저 집이 못 봤는데 제 아버지 한국에 갈 때 그 2주 동안 우리 집에 있었어요. 우리 집에 잤는데 저는 소파. 이렇게 2주 살았어요. 오늘 우리 집에 왔을 때 한국에서 왔을 때 우리 부모님 갑자기란 거 알려주겠습니다. 그 한국에서 사람들이 거의 다 아파트로 살고 싶었잖아요. 이상하지 않은데 신기해요. 왜냐면 영국인들이 거의 다 집에 알고 싶었거든요. 나이 많이 있을 때 they moved to the countryside 그냥 집에 살고 싶은데 한국인들이 security 때문에 다 거의 다 아파트에 사는 거 좋아하는데 아파트 엄청 많아요. 그리고 다 비슷해요. 거의 다. And like sometimes you go to an apartment and there was like a map for the apartment complex like 1.5 is here. 그거도 한국에 처음 본 것 같은데? 그거 처음 봤어요 한국에서. Even when they retire, 다 서울 살고 싶어요. Like they don't move to the countryside when they retire, and that is a difference in culture. 그냥 나오면 바로 가게 있고 아니면 if there's a problem with the building lights or something, it's not your own. You know, you can always get help from the apartment complex. There's a security. There's like the parking lot downstairs that you can like not have to worry about. The children normally go to school next door. It's just the simplicity of it, and people don't really garden here or do anything like that. They like that simplicity of living in apartments, having like a stable structure. One thing my grandparents in England like to do is they have a garden, and every end of year they have people like competing who has the best garden. I think Koreans don't have time for that. 다른 도시 가면 주택 많아요. 근데 서울에 사람들이 다 거의 다 아파트 살아요. 그리고 집에 사면 좀 불편해요. 아파트보다 서울 살고 있으면 관리도 해야 되고 한국에서 그 아파트 살고 싶으면 정말 비싸요. I was shocked. I think is I understand London because there's like foreign people buying houses in London, like the Russians and Chinese. But in Korea, it's pretty much just Koreans, but it's always expensive. There's not enough apartments for everybody in Korea, and I'm just like, to buy is so expensive. I'm like, where do these people have this money? My parents, when they came to Korea, they got surprised that instead of using a key, you have the password. And they were like, oh, that's very convenient. The first thought is like, oh, but what if someone knows your password? But after a while, my dad was just like super happy because if he lost the key, you just and then come in. Yeah, it's amazing. I think every single foreigner that comes to Korea loves that. 사실 편해요. 사실 편한데 it's like it's not safer because if someone just is walking past you and looks at it, you can see you putting the password. There is that risk, or you invite someone to your house and they see you putting in the password and then they tell everybody and then someone steals. I've heard of stories of a girl who has like invited one of her friends over and then that friend told a lot of people her password so people would appear in her house and just put in the password and come in. Okay, but like I don't live in that kind of house. Okay, if you have that is very safe. But I've only seen that in really like expensive places. But normally it's just the password. But then who's gonna, you can just cover it and put it, I guess. But then keys, you can also put there's nothing safe. Nothing is safe. Horak, not as safe, or it's almost the same risk, but it is more convenient. Especially if you can lose your key easily. So when my dad first was doing quarantine, the shower was not separate from a toilet. In my house, the shower is separate from the toilet, which he was very happy with. But he thought that the place he was staying in wasn't very nice. Because he thought if the shower is not separate from the toilet, then this house must be a really bad quality house. But I'm like, no, this is a nice house. It's normal in Korea to have something called the wet room, which is the shower together with the toilet. And it's actually quite convenient. You just shower the whole thing and everything is clean. Having the shower separate is actually quite rare in Korea. Maybe nice new apartments have it, but normally you wouldn't. For a foreigner, it's actually quite difficult to understand and very difficult to get used to that you can't wear socks in the bathroom, for example, because your socks are gonna get wet. He asked me like, oh, is this normal? I was like, Dad, it is normal. Like even really nice apartments might have the shower with toilet. Well, the thing is the shower is like, it's just separate. If the floor gets wet, it'll dry up, but you have to do like a cleaning. You get a bucket. It's like, how would you clean your house outside of the toilet? You get a bucket, get a mop, you clean it, you throw water, and then you drain it. That's how you have to do abroad. Not with the shower water. You just have to bring separate water and then throw it. I've seen floor was made of wood. Old wood. So you would have like a little carpet. So you would take a shower and then go on the carpet and dry yourself. So none of the actual bathroom would get wet, because if the wood got wet, it would rot. It's like a pan-pan, it's a 50-50. I don't know if I like it, I don't know if I don't like it. It's like, sometimes it's very convenient, it's very pure, you just go like, shh, everything's clean. But honestly, if you just go, shh, it's not that clean, is it? You still have to actually clean it sometimes. But then, you know, then the toilet seat gets wet, and who likes sitting on a wet toilet seat? You know, it's just like, 따뜻해요. Before he came to Korea, my dad was like, oh, what are you doing here? And I would always say, oh, I'm sitting on the floor. And my dad was like, why? Why are you sitting on the floor? Because my floor is heated. So if I'm cold, I'm lying on the floor, like trying to warm myself up. Like when it was like -20, my apartment actually has really, really big windows, so my house gets quite cold. Oh my gosh, the floor was my saving. I was just like sitting on the floor, lying on the floor, studying on the floor. In Korea, every single house has them. There's no house that doesn't have floor heating. And I remember my dad asking one of my friends who does construction, like, does every single Korean apartment have this? And they were like, yeah, even like the cheapest apartments or even Koshi ones, they have floor heating. The thing is, England has a lot of very old apartments. None of them would have floor heatings. We have these like heatings on the wall, which is gas. It's like radiators. Every house has a gas radiator because you just put it on the wall, but on the floor, they don't really touch the floor. Oh, my dad just walked in with his shoes on. No, I was like, Dad. He was just like, yep. He was already in. The thing is, in Korea, there's a special space to put your shoes on, right? There's like a step, and everybody leaves your shoes there. But there's no such thing in Europe. There's nowhere to put your shoes. So there's nothing that makes you stop and think, oh, I have to take my shoes off and then continue. It makes complete sense. Like, why would you wear your shoes inside the house when it's dirty? You know, it's uncomfortable to wear your shoes, all of that. I got angry at my dad a few times. I was just like, Dad, your shoes, you're wearing your shoes inside. And he's just like, oh, but I'm just getting something. I'm like, no, once you got in, it's the whole carpet. It's the thing is, because people that come from other countries, they know that in Korea, Japan, and some Asian countries, you take off your shoes. He knows that. Like, everybody kind of knows that. So when they come to Korea, they're like, oh, we have to remove our shoes, but it's not natural for them. So for the first few days, he would just walk straight in, forgetting that you have to take the shoes off. Yeah, he forgets because he's just like, and I'm like, Dad, I'm just done zipping my boots, like, Dad. And he's like, oh, sorry. And then he walks back and like takes his shoes off. But he knows he has to do it. But you know, it's just habit. Out of habit, he forgot. 영국에서 우리 그냥 tap water 마시는데 한국에서 안 해요. In the UK, we would never buy a bottle of water to drink at home. But in Korea, since I don't have a 정수기, I have to get bottled water. If I don't have bottled water, because I lived in the UK, I still drink tap water sometimes. And my friends are like, oh, you drank tap water? Oh my God, how could you? And I'm like, it's fine, I'm fine. 네.
바로 마실 수 있는데.
I know, and I told them it's okay. I've done my research online. They say you will not die if you drink it. Some people, because of like the difference, might get a bit of like a weird stomach because they're not used to something in the water, but you're not gonna die. If you want to save money, don't buy bottled water. For me, it was very weird just seeing loads of bottles of water. I was like, why don't you just drink from the tap? I literally Googled and they said it's okay. So I was drinking straight from the tap. So my friends were like, 저는 오늘 그 부모님 한국에 집에서 왔을 때 깜짝 놀란 이유는 알려줬습니다. 영상이 좋았다면 구독하고 subscribe, comment, and tell me like what kind of thing you find weird of like American houses, like walking in their shoes. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!